The hospital antiseptic smell still clung to my sweater 3 days later, even after I'd washed it twice. And I was sitting in my kitchen with the morning light making patterns on the old pine table my husband had built 40 years ago, when my phone started buzzing, not just once or twice, but 17 times in 5 minutes. And the last person to call was Barbara from church, her voice shaking when I finally answered and said, "Dorothy, have you seen it? The video? Oh, honey, I'm so sorry." I hadn't seen it, didn't even know what she was talking about. But Barbara walked me through opening TikTok, an app I'd only downloaded a month ago because my grandson Tyler kept insisting I needed to stay current with technology. And my fingers fumbled with the screen until there I was. 2.3 million views. Me, sprawled at the bottom of my staircase, with my bathrobe twisted around my legs and one slipper 3 steps above me. And worse was the audio. Tyler's voice, unmistakable, laughing, with that genuine, unfiltered sound that told me this wasn't nervous shock, but actual amusement at my pain. If you want to know how a grandmother's broken hip became viral entertainment for millions of strangers, and how she fought back against her own grandson to reclaim her dignity in a world that measures worth in views and likes, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is about what happens when family becomes content and love becomes a commodity traded for internet fame. I'm from Cleveland. Where are you watching from? My name is Dorothy Bennett, though most people call me Dot. I'm 73 years old, and until that Tuesday morning when I fell down my stairs, I thought I understood my family, thought I knew who my grandson was, thought the world still worked in ways that made sense to someone my age. Tyler had been living with me for 7 months, 26 years old, my son Kenneth's boy, laid off from his graphic design job in the city. "Just need some time to regroup," Kenneth had said when he asked if Tyler could stay with me. I'd said yes immediately, because the house had felt too empty since my husband Paul died 3 years ago. And Tyler was family, blood, the little boy I'd taught to make my grandmother's chocolate chip cookies when he was 10, the teenager who used to call me every Sunday without fail before he moved in. Those first few weeks were nice. Tyler helped with the yard work, fixed the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom, even organized the garage that had become a jumbled mess after Paul died. But then I started noticing the phone, always in his hand, always tilted at an angle, always recording. He'd film his breakfast, film the neighbor's dog, film the sunset from my porch. "Building my brand, Grandma," he'd say, with that easy smile that reminded me so much of Kenneth at that age. I didn't think much of it. Young people and their phones. It was just how things were now, wasn't it? The fall happened on a Tuesday morning. Tyler had decided to help by polishing the hardwood floors. Beautiful work. They gleamed like they hadn't in years. But he'd forgotten to mention he'd done it, and I'd forgotten my phone was charging upstairs. I needed it for my doctor's appointment reminder, so I headed up the stairs in my house slippers, the ones with absolutely no grip on the bottom. My foot hit that first polished step, and it was like stepping on ice. The world tilted. I remember grabbing for the railing, my fingers just missing it, and then the sickening sensation of falling backward. Each step was a new jolt of pain, my shoulder, my elbow, my hip. When I finally stopped at the bottom, I couldn't move, couldn't catch my breath. The pain in my hip was white hot, blinding. "Tyler," I tried to shout, but it came out as barely a whisper. "Tyler, please." I heard his footsteps. Thank God, I thought. He's coming. But he didn't kneel down, didn't ask if I was okay. I turned my head, tears streaming down my face, and saw him standing there at the top of the stairs, phone extended, that little red recording light blinking. "Grandma, seriously, you should have been more careful." He laughed. Actually laughed. "This is insane. Hold on, say something funny." I can't move," I managed. "Please call 911. "Oh, you're fine. You're always so dramatic." But he did eventually come down, still filming, and when he finally called 911, he spent half the call describing the fall to the operator like it was some kind of comedy sketch instead of a medical emergency. The paramedics were kind, professional. One of them, a young woman named Maria, kept asking Tyler to step back, to give me space. She asked if I'd hit my head, if I felt dizzy, if I knew where I was. Yes to the last two, thankfully, no to the first. But the hip was bad. I could feel it, something wrong deep in the joint, a grinding sensation every time they tried to move me onto the stretcher. At the hospital, Kenneth met me. Tyler had called him, at least. My son looked worried, tired, that same worn expression he'd had since his divorce 2 years ago. He held my hand while they took x-rays, and when the doctor came back with the films, his face went pale. 2 fractures, Dr. Anderson explained, pointing to the white lines on the scan. You're going to need surgery, Mrs. Bennett, and extensive physical therapy afterward. Kenneth squeezed my hand. Tyler was in the hallway, phone in hand, typing away. I spent 3 days in the hospital. Surgery went well, they said, but recovery would take months. I'd need a walker, possibly a cane for the rest of my life. At 73, bones don't heal like they used to. Kenneth took leave from work to stay with me those first few days, sleeping in the uncomfortable hospital chair, bringing me decent coffee from the cafe downstairs. Tyler visited once. He brought flowers, grocery store carnations, and stood awkwardly by the bed for 10 minutes before saying he had to go meet a friend. He didn't mention the video. Neither did Kenneth. I came home on a Friday afternoon. Kenneth had set up a bed in the downstairs guest room so I wouldn't have to manage stairs. He'd rented a walker and filled my prescriptions. Tyler was out when we arrived, which was probably for the best. I was exhausted, hurting, and not ready to face him yet. That night, after Kenneth went home to his apartment in the city, he had to work the next day, I lay in that guest bed, feeling like a visitor in my own house. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. Barbara again. Dorothy, I know you're recovering, but there's something you need to know. The video. It's everywhere. Someone from our church shared it in the community group. People are, well, they're talking. My hands were shaking as I opened TikTok again. 2.3 million views had become 3.7 million. The comment section was an endless scroll. Some people were concerned. Is she okay? This isn't funny. Elder abuse much? But more were laughing. Crying laughing emojis, skull emojis. Granny went down hard. This is why old people shouldn't live alone. Natural selection, lol. And there, responding to comments, was Tyler's username. She's totally fine, guys. Don't worry. She's tough as nails. This lady survived worse. Update. She's home and already yelling at me to turn my music down, lol. I felt something crack open inside my chest. Not my ribs. Those were fine. Something deeper. The part of me that had convinced itself this was just a misunderstanding, that Tyler was young and thoughtless, not cruel. When he came home after midnight, I was still awake. The pain medication made sleep impossible. I'd doze for 20 minutes and wake up disoriented. I heard his key in the lock, heard him trying to be quiet as he came in. And then I called his name. He appeared in the doorway, backlit by the hall light. Hey, Grandma, you okay? Need something? I saw it, I said. My voice sounded strange, even to me, flat. The video. He had the decency to look uncomfortable, at least, shifted his weight, ran a hand through his hair. Oh, yeah, look, I know it seems bad, but 3.7 million people have watched me at the worst moment of my life, I interrupted. People are laughing, making jokes about my age, about me being alone, and you're encouraging them. Grandma, it's just the internet. It doesn't mean anything. Everyone posts stuff like this. It's not personal. Not personal? I struggled to sit up straighter, and pain shot through my hip. Tyler, I'm your grandmother. You watched me fall down the stairs, and your first thought was to film it. Your second thought was to post it. Your third thought was to laugh about it with strangers. At what point did you think about helping me? I did help you. I called 911. After you got your footage? He looked away. You're making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. Am I? My doctor says I'll need months of physical therapy. I might never walk normally again. I'm 73 years old, Tyler. Falls like this, they change everything. And you turned it into entertainment? Look, I'm sorry you're hurt, but the video is getting me followers, real engagement. This could actually help my career. The words hung in the air between us. Help his career? I stared at this young man who used to climb into my lap and ask me to read Goodnight Moon one more time, and I didn't recognize him. I want you to take it down, I said. I can't do that. Yes, you can. No, I mean, it's my content. I filmed it. That's how this works, Grandma. Once something goes viral, you can't just delete it. Other people have already shared it. It's out there. Plus, he hesitated, a few brands have reached out about sponsorships. This could actually be my break. I felt cold despite the 2 blankets Kenneth had tucked around me. Get out. What? Get out of my house. Tonight. Right now. Grandma, come on. Don't be like this. I let you live here because you're family. Because I thought you cared about me. But you don't. You care about views, about followers, about your career. So go build your career somewhere else. He stood there for a long moment, and I thought maybe he'd apologize, really apologize. But instead, he just shook his head. Fine, I'll call Dad. Kenneth arrived within an hour. I heard them talking in hushed voices in the hallway. Tyler playing the victim, no doubt. Poor Tyler. Grandma's being unreasonable. Poor Tyler. It was just a joke. My son appeared in the doorway alone. Mom, it's 1 a.m. Can we talk about this tomorrow? Did you see the video? His silence was answer enough. When? I asked. Tyler sent it to me the day it happened, before he called me about the hospital. And you didn't think to mention it? To ask him to take it down? Kenneth sank into the chair beside my bed, looking older than his 48 years. I thought you hadn't seen it. I thought maybe it was better that way. And Tyler said the algorithm would move past it in a few days, that it would just disappear. It has 4 million views now, Kenneth. He rubbed his face. I know it looks bad, Mom, but he's struggling. The job market is brutal. He's trying to make something work with this influencer thing, and maybe this is his shot. I know the circumstances aren't ideal, but he watched me break my hip and laughed, Kenneth. Your son, my grandson, he laughed. He's young. He doesn't think before he acts. You remember what I was like at that age. You were never cruel. That landed. Kenneth flinched. We sat in silence for a moment, the only sound the hum of the refrigerator in the next room. He needs to take it down, I said finally, and I want him out of my house. Where's he going to go? That's not my problem anymore. Kenneth left with Tyler that night. I heard them loading boxes and bags into the car, heard the front door close one final time around 2:30 in the morning. Then silence, that deep, heavy silence of a house that used to hold love. I didn't sleep. Instead, I opened my laptop, the one Paul bought me before he got sick, insisting I learn to use email, and typed with one finger, lawyer, elder abuse. The results overwhelmed me at first, but one name kept appearing with good reviews, Angela Rivera, specializing in elder law. Her office was downtown, above the bakery I used to take Kenneth to when he was little. I called first thing Monday morning. The receptionist was kind, patient with my rambling explanation. Ms. Rivera could see me Wednesday at 2. Those 2 days felt like years. Barbara brought me groceries and stayed for tea, carefully not mentioning the video. My neighbor Thomas, who I barely knew beyond wave exchanges over the fence, showed up with a casserole and an offer to shovel if it snowed. Saw what happened, he said gruffly. My granddaughter's on that app too. Damn shame. The video reached 6 million views. Someone made a compilation of grandma fails, and mine was featured prominently. I stopped reading the comments. Angela Rivera's office was small but warm. She was perhaps 50, with kind eyes and a firm handshake that didn't feel patronizing despite my walker. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. "Mrs. Bennett, I'll be straight with you. This is complicated. What Tyler did was unethical, yes. Morally reprehensible, absolutely. But legally," she tapped her pen against the pad. "Elder abuse laws vary by state. The fact that he eventually called 911, that he didn't physically harm you directly, that complicates things." She leaned forward. "However, there are other avenues. Emotional distress, invasion of privacy. The video was taken in your private home without your consent and used commercially. You mentioned possible sponsorships. Most importantly, you've suffered documented harm. The fall, the surgery, the ongoing medical costs. We can make a strong case." "I don't want money," I said. "I want it down. I want it gone. I want my grandson to understand that what he did was wrong." "Sometimes," Angela said gently, "the threat of legal action is enough to make people reconsider their choices. Let me send a cease and desist letter. It will demand removal of the video, a public apology, and compensation for your medical expenses. We'll see how he responds." The letter was sent that Friday. I waited. Tyler called me Sunday night, not Kenneth, Tyler himself. His voice was tight, defensive. "Grandma, what the hell? A lawsuit? Really? Did you take the video down?" "I can't just. There are contractual obligations now. Brands have already paid for placement and follow-up content. If I delete the original video, I breach the contracts." "You made contracts based on footage of me falling down the stairs?" "It's business, Grandma. This is how the world works now." "Then I'll see you in court." I hung up. My hands were shaking, but my voice had been steady. That felt like a small victory. Kenneth called an hour later. "Mom, please don't do this. He's my son. You're going to destroy his relationship with the whole family." "He destroyed it when he chose views over family," I said. "I'm done protecting people who hurt me, Kenneth, even if they're blood." The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork and phone calls. Angela was efficient, thorough. We built a case, medical records showing the extent of my injuries, testimony from the paramedics, screenshots of Tyler's comments, and the brand deals he'd referenced. Tyler's response, when it came through his lawyer, a friend from college doing him a favor, was essentially that I'd consented to being filmed by allowing him to live in my home, that his First Amendment rights allowed him to post what he'd filmed, that my injuries, while unfortunate, were the result of my own carelessness on slippery floors. That last part stung worst of all, blaming me for not being careful on floors he'd polished without warning. Angela scheduled a mediation for early December. Both parties, both lawyers, attempting to reach a settlement before it went to court. I barely slept the night before, took extra pain medication just to make the drive downtown. The mediation room was sterile, beige walls, fluorescent lights, a long table. Tyler sat across from me, and I barely recognized him. Suit and tie, hair combed neatly, but his eyes were hard, angry. Kenneth sat beside him, looking miserable. Angela presented our case. The mediator, a woman named Sandra Lee, listened impassively. Then Tyler's lawyer presented their defense, the consent argument, the First Amendment, the claim that I was overreacting. "My client is willing to offer a compromise," the young lawyer said. "He'll add a disclaimer to the video stating that his grandmother has recovered and is fine. In exchange, Mrs. Bennett drops the lawsuit." "No," I said before Angela could respond. Everyone looked at me. "The video comes down, all of it, every copy he can control. Public apology, and he pays my medical bills, all of them. That's the compromise." Tyler's lawyer started to object, but Sandra held up a hand. "Let's take a break." When Sandra met with Angela and me in a side room, she was direct. He's going to fight this. First Amendment cases are tricky. You might win, you might not. Even if you do, collecting damages from a 26-year-old with no assets, she shrugged. I don't care about the money, I said again. I care about dignity. Sandra studied me for a long moment. There's something you should know. I did some research during the break. Tyler's employer, he works for a digital marketing agency called Brandwave. They have a very specific ethics clause about personal conduct that could harm the company's reputation. If this case goes to trial, becomes public record, she didn't have to finish. I understood. When we reconvened, I looked directly at Tyler for the first time. Really looked at him. He was pale, fidgeting with a pen, not meeting my eyes. Tyler, I said, and my voice was steady. I loved you from the moment you were born. I taught you to read. I took you to your first baseball game. I sat with you in the emergency room when you broke your arm falling out of that tree. And I didn't laugh. I didn't film it. I held your hand and told you it would be okay. His jaw tightened. This video has 8 million views now. 8 million people have seen me at my most vulnerable, have laughed at me, have made me into a joke. And you let it happen. You encouraged it. For what? Followers? Brand deals? What was I worth to you, Tyler? What's the going rate for humiliating your grandmother? Grandma, I'm not finished. You have a choice. You can take the video down, apologize publicly, and pay for the medical care you cost me. Or this goes to trial, and when it does, every outlet will cover it, every news station, every blog, and your employer will see exactly what kind of person they've hired, someone who exploits vulnerable family members for profit. His lawyer started to protest, but Tyler held up a hand. His face was red, whether from shame or anger, I couldn't tell. This is blackmail, he said. No, Angela interjected smoothly. This is consequence, something you've been avoiding your entire life, it seems. The mediation ended without resolution. We scheduled a court date for January. But something strange happened over the next week. Tyler's video started getting a different kind of attention. Someone had found my name, connected me to the case. A local news blogger wrote a piece. TikTok star sued by grandmother he filmed falling. It went viral. Ironic, considering the circumstances. Suddenly, people were looking at the video differently. The comments shifted. This is actually really messed up. That's elder abuse. Imagine doing this to your own grandmother for views. Tyler's follower count started dropping. The brand deals evaporated. And then, on a Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from Angela. You're not gonna believe this, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Brandwave just terminated Tyler's employment. Apparently, the negative publicity violated his contract. I felt no satisfaction in that, just tired. The call from Kenneth came that evening. Mom, Tyler's a mess. He lost his job. Everyone's turning on him online. He can't get work anywhere in marketing now. He's talking about moving across the country, starting over. What do you want me to do about that, Kenneth? He wants to apologize. Really apologize. Face to face. I was quiet for a long time. Does he want to apologize because he's sorry or because his life fell apart? Kenneth didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice was thick. I don't know, Mom. I honestly don't know. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the important thing is that he's ready to try to make it right. I'll think about it. I did think about it. For 3 long days of physical therapy, I could walk short distances with just the cane now, and quiet evenings, and memories of a little boy who used to think I hung the moon. I agreed to meet him. Not at my house. I wasn't ready for that. At a neutral location, the park near downtown, the one with the covered pavilion. Tyler looked terrible. Unshaven, rumpled clothes, eyes red-rimmed like he hadn't been sleeping. He sat across from me at the picnic table, and for a long time neither of us spoke. I deleted it, he said finally, the video, and all the reposts I could control. I filed copyright claims against the compilations. Most of them are down. I can't control the screen recordings, but I've done everything I can. I nodded slowly. I'm sorry, he said, and his voice cracked. Grandma, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking, or maybe I wasn't thinking at all. I just saw everything as content, like life was just material for posts. I forgot. He rubbed his face. I forgot you were real. That sounds insane, but when you're looking at everything through a screen, trying to get engagement, trying to go viral, people stop being people. They're just content. I'm your grandmother, Tyler. I know. God, I know. And I hurt you. I humiliated you. I chose strangers on the internet over you, and I can't take it back. I've lost my job, lost my friends, lost my reputation, and I deserve all of it. But the worst part is I lost you. Tears were running down his face now, real ones, not performative crying for a camera, just genuine grief. The thing is, I said quietly, I would have forgiven you immediately if you just apologized that first night, if you'd taken it down when I asked, if you'd chosen me over the views. But you didn't. You chose your career, your brand, your future, and when that all fell apart, when the consequences finally caught up with you, then you were ready to be sorry. I know, but I am sorry. Whether you believe me or not, whether you ever forgive me or not, I need you to know that I'm sorry. I looked at this broken young man and saw both the child he'd been and the adult he was becoming. The question was, which one would win? I don't forgive you, I said. Not yet. Forgiveness isn't something you can demand or even ask for, Tyler. It's something that's earned over time through changed behavior, through amends. I'll do anything. Here's what I want. You're going to pay my medical bills, all of them. Physical therapy, medication, everything. I don't care if you have to work 3 jobs. You're going to make it right financially. He nodded. Second, you're going to post a real apology. Not just sorry if anyone was offended. A real, genuine acknowledgement of what you did. I want you to use your platform, whatever's left of it, to talk about elder abuse, about exploitation, about the cost of viral fame. Okay. Third, and this is non-negotiable, you're going to come here every week for the next 6 months and help me with my physical therapy. You're going to see exactly how much damage you caused. You're going to watch me struggle to walk, to climb stairs, to do all the things I used to take for granted. You're going to sit with that. His voice was barely a whisper. Okay. And maybe, Tyler, if you do all of that, if you show me through your actions and not just your words that you've actually changed, maybe we can find our way back to each other. But it's going to take time. A lot of time. He reached across the table like he wanted to take my hand, then stopped himself. Thank you for giving me a chance. I'm not doing it for you, I said. I'm doing it because I remember who you used to be, and I'm hoping that person is still in there somewhere. The first few weeks were awkward. Tyler showed up every Wednesday at 3, helped me with my exercises, barely spoke. I'd catch him watching me wince when I tried to lift my leg or struggled to maintain balance, and something would flash across his face. Guilt, shame, understanding. By week 5, he started talking, really talking, about the pressure to perform online, about how he'd gotten so caught up in the dopamine hit of likes and comments that he'd forgotten what actually mattered. About how he was in therapy now, trying to understand why he'd needed validation from strangers more than love from family. My therapist asked me something last week, he said during one session, holding the resistance band steady while I worked my hip. She asked what I was really afraid of. And I think I was afraid of being invisible, of not mattering. So I tried to matter to everyone and ended up mattering to no one. You mattered to me, I said. You always did. His eyes filled with tears. I'm starting to understand that. I'm starting to understand what I threw away. By week 8, we were having conversations that felt almost normal. He told me about the community college classes he was taking, marketing still, but with an ethics focus this time, about the part-time job at the bakery downstairs from Angela's office, about the blog he'd started about digital wellness and the dangers of content addiction. I'm not trying to go viral this time, he said with a wry smile. I'm trying to help people avoid the mistakes I made. It gets maybe 50 views per post, but the comments are real. People actually engaging with the ideas instead of just scrolling past. That's good, Tyler. That's real. In week 12, he brought Kenneth with him. My son looked uncertain, standing in my doorway with a bouquet of flowers, my favorites, daisies, and an expression I recognized from when he was little and had broken something. Hi, Mom. Can we talk? I let them both in, made tea, sat at my kitchen table with the 3 of us spanning 3 generations of Bennett family mistakes and attempts at redemption. I failed you, Kenneth said without preamble. When Tyler sent me that video, I should have made him delete it immediately. I should have protected you instead of protecting his feelings. I was so focused on being the understanding dad that I forgot to be a good son. You were in a difficult position, I started, but he shook his head. No, there's no difficult position when it comes to choosing between right and wrong. Tyler was wrong. I was wrong for not standing up to him, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Mom. We talked for 3 hours about Paul and how his death had left all of us scrambling to figure out our new roles, about Kenneth's divorce and how he'd tried to overcorrect with Tyler, being more friend than father, about my own loneliness and how I'd let people take advantage of me rather than face being alone. I think, I said as the afternoon light faded, we all forgot how to be honest with each other somewhere along the way. We've been performing for each other instead of just being real. So let's be real now, Tyler said. I was a selfish, thoughtless person who hurt someone I love for internet points. Dad was someone who chose keeping the peace over doing the right thing. And you, he looked at me, you've been letting people walk all over you because you're afraid of being a burden. And that, I thought, cutting into the cookies my grandson had made with his own hands, was worth more than 8 million views could ever be. The truth of it hit me in the chest. Yes, I admitted, I have been. So what do we do now? Kenneth asked. Now, I said, we do better, all of us. The lawsuit was dropped in week 16. Angela filed the paperwork, and it was over. Tyler had paid every medical bill, kept every Wednesday appointment, and posted his apology video, a serious, unfiltered 7-minute explanation of what he'd done and why it was wrong. It didn't go viral. It got maybe 30,000 views, but the comments were thoughtful, supportive, from people genuinely trying to learn from his mistakes. I don't need millions of people to validate me anymore, he told me. I need the people who actually matter to not hate me. I don't hate you, I said. I never did. I was just heartbroken. I know, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure I never break your heart again. Spring came, and with it my 74th birthday. Kenneth threw a small party at his apartment, just family. Barbara and Thomas from the neighborhood who'd become surprising friends. Tyler had made my grandmother's chocolate chip cookies from memory, and they were perfect. As I watched my family, imperfect, damaged, but trying, I thought about how far we'd come. The video was mostly scrubbed from the internet now, though occasionally someone would stumble across a repost and the whole thing would briefly resurface. I'd learned to live with that. Some scars don't fully heal. But Tyler had healed in other ways. He was working full-time at a nonprofit now, helping seniors learn digital literacy and protect themselves from online exploitation. He'd found purpose in making amends. Kenneth had found his backbone, setting better boundaries with Tyler and with me. We talked honestly now, even when it was uncomfortable. And me, I'd found my voice again, the one that knew when to say no, when to demand better, when to protect myself even from people I loved. "Make a wish, Mom," Kenneth said, lighting the candles on my cake. I closed my eyes. The wish was simple, that we'd keep choosing each other, honestly and imperfectly, for as long as we had. When I opened my eyes, Tyler was watching me with that soft expression I remembered from when he was small. Not performing, not filming, just present, just here, just my grandson, who'd learned the hard way that some things, dignity, respect, love, can't be measured in views or likes or follows. They can only be earned one difficult conversation at a time. I blew out the candles, and my family cheered. Somewhere in the world, someone was probably still laughing at that video of me falling down the stairs. But here, in this room, with these people who'd hurt me and whom I'd hurt back, who'd failed and been forgiven and were trying to do better, here, we were finally learning what really mattered. And that, I thought, cutting into the cookies my grandson had made with his own hands, was worth more than 8 million views could ever be. Share your story with us. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted for social media fame? Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and justice when family hurts you? Your dignity matters. Your pain matters. And you have the right to demand better, even from the people you love most. Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight with our own family, but those are also the battles most worth fighting. And that, I thought, cutting into the cookies my grandson had made with his own hands, was worth more than 8 million views could ever be.